Record on this computer. First of all, in addition to good morning, everybody, and thank you for being on this last call. We have Daxton with us, Morgan and Ty in the office. We'll come around to them. But I was telling this story. So I had a young man come to my door on Sunday or Monday. I don't know. My days this weekend ran together. And he was selling books for his school. And this book on freedom was there. And I didn't even ask questions. I said, how much? I gave him a donation and I grabbed the book. So I think it just struck me how little things come into your life, come across your path as you're open to kind of thought process and where your focus is. And I think that's kind of what we want to wrap up today with the conclusion of, 10X is easier than 2X. But before we get into that, I've asked Ted to join us, and he's actually going to lead us today. But like we do in every other call, kind of get warmed up. Who's got some wins they want to share with us over the last week? Nobody.
I got wins, but I talk all the time. So my teenagers decided to start dating at the same time. So we waited later in life to have kids. So mine's she's not quite 17 yet, and then 18. And they both picked up, people coming to the door. So hearing stories of my son going to meet the father and shake his hand and ask permission to take her out on a date and do it all right, and I didn't give him the cliff notes. He just did the right thing. And, so we're just beaming from ear to ear and just happy. So far everything seems to be good. They're picking good people to be hanging out with. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. My wife, I never knew I'd see that side of my wife, because watching your kids blossom, I didn't expect her to be responding so strongly. It's been a hoot. It's been a hoot in the Miller household. The boys come into the house today to shake my hand for the first time. My daughter's fellow that she's dating, so we'll meet him today. I'm going to be looking up at him. I guess he's 6'5". So anymore, I'm small. Yeah. 6'3", 6'2" doesn't really count anymore. My son's 6'7". This guy's 6'5". So they're I don't know what we're feeding them. All this organic food is making them grow too fast.
I got one I'll share, Rick.
Yeah, please.
I've got a friend who has, I really do have a friend, but anyway, he's in Texas, businessman, but he reached out to me and said, hey, I've got 2 free tickets to the OU Arkansas State game. And my daughter's graduated from OU. So Saturday I go to the game. I told my wife, what an exciting game. What was it? 71-0, whatever. But anyway, I haven't been to a college game in ages, but the environment, the excitement, the bands, I don't know, and time with my daughter, who's 25, was really cool. So I enjoyed that.
Good for you.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go Ducks.
I call that a win. What'd you hold up there?
Go Ducks. I gotta root for
Yeah.
University of Oregon now, because the boy's gonna leave here in 2 weeks for University of Oregon.
All right.
All right, guys. So why don't we kind of crank it in? Ted, I'm gonna hand it over to you, and why don't we get things started and just see where we go with this.
Well, you'd said something about freedoms specifically. You held up a book about freedom, and that's my favorite summation. My favorite quote, the bullet points out of all the chapters. The one I like the most, I had prepared to share, just so happens to be copacetic with what Rick was saying. It says, when you choose freedom over security, then you embrace a life where you choose exactly what you want, rather than vying for what you think you need. For me personally, I just thought that was fantastic. That's probably a summation of how I think I'm working with entrepreneurs is to set them free at all ages. Once we're nothing but a big onion, right? And we've been, presented with some kind of unique opportunity, and we get a harder outer shell. And then we stop and later look at that and go, who put that there? I don't even know if that was me. Is that my society? Is that my church? Or is that my, limiting belief from when I was a child, whatever it may be? And then we peel that back, and we just keep peeling back to the truest nature of who we are. And again, if I slip up a little bit today, just, let you know, I'm not trying to convert anyone to my way of thinking. I'm a transparent fella. So, just suck it up, buttercup. So, if I drop Jesus Christ a couple times, I'm not here to recruit anybody. Just let everyone know that in advance. But my point is, you peel that back, and then we get to express the finest versions of who we are, because I've been blessed to work with a lot of entrepreneurs like you. In this fashion, casually, 250,000 have been clients. Intimately, where I work with them personally to help them grow their company, 25,000. To spend no less than a business quarter, like I have with Rick, and I will be with a few others that may be here today, about 7,500. So that's a lot of time with entrepreneurs. And we all think we're very unique. We all think, we have unique challenges. But along comes a book like this, and we all find a point where we go, oh my gosh, that is so true. No matter what the industry, no matter what the business, this applies for everyone here. So what I'd like to do is go around the room and spend more time assisting you moving into implementation versus allowing this experience to be, hey, I'm glad we all got together. There's a group of really nice people. And we got all fired up, pumped up, and motivated for the mornings. Kind of wish maybe it wasn't that early in the morning. Well, I guess it's not that early for y'all. But I'm looking at 5:40 on the clock here. It could be considered early. And but if you just leave and then you move to the next book and next seminar of something you might not implement, it might be a great time for us to choose now what's going to be the next best step. So I'm going to go around the room for each and every single one of you, and we're going to make sure we're really clear on where we're going next. A little bit more time on what you guys were calling the hot seats. But I don't know who else is in the room with you, Rick. I only heard Ty's name. Who else is in the room, just so I can know who to be shouting out there?
Everybody say hi. Say who you are. Morgan. I'm Morgan Reynolds.
I heard Morgan's name, and who else?
Daxton Sinclair.
And Daxton.
And Ty.
And Ty. All right. Well, then who's got something in your mind's eye, meaning you actually read Rick's email and you're like, how many of these emails is he going to send me? And then that last email is like, so what was the single most valuable thing you got from this experience? Who actually came prepared with one of those responses? If so, just say I and raise your hand, and you're going to get to start off today's session. All right, Andy, fire away. Out of everything you covered, what was the most valuable to you?
So my unique ability is becoming clearer, and it's not to lead or grow the companies I'm involved with. I think, and we're pretty certain we need to retain somebody who has that ability. And because we're all in the trenches, we're operation minded, we're not branding and building company minded, but we know the opportunities there. So we're starting to have conversations and looking for that person that can do that.
Okay. So
I think that brings freedoms. It's kind of a self-reflection of what I'm really good at. And
but I haven't heard your unique ability because I don't know you that well, Andy. So
sure.
What is your unique ability? Because you were saying run the business is what I don't want to do. And that's what happens is we realize when we start paying attention to ourselves, the first thing that comes up is what we don't like. Okay, I don't want to keep doing that. That's getting me out of my zone of brilliance. It's frustrating. It's irritating. I don't need to be the guy running all these businesses. So I got that's the away value. What's the towards value? What's the thing that's in alignment to your unique ability?
So, well, let me just give you an experience and you tell me what it is. So I'm at a conference with 200 people. We're all engineers, we're all project managers, and they give us 20 items that have to be done in a certain order to complete this project. I was one of 4 people out of 200 who got that exactly right. So
Great.
I can see things, I can see the order they need to be done in. Don't know what you call that. Don't know how to sell it or market it, but
I'm gonna lay it out right here for the most common referenced archetypes. If you got a better visual aid, send it my way. I'll use it. But can you guys see on the screen? I shared a diagram of archetypes. And from what you guys heard from Andy, was he talking about providing structure, or did I just hear it off? Was he talking about providing structure, or was he talking about connection, legacy, or spirituality? Which one was he just talking about?
Structure.
Structure. Okay. So in this quadrant, you're in your identity of who you show up as. Do you show up as the sage with knowledge? Are you showing up with the creator with a ton of innovation? Showing up with the innocent, providing safety? Which one feels like it resonates with you the most?
sage with knowledge.
Great. Now, is this your current zone of brilliance?
Somewhat.
Unique ability. Great. And now I know we put on different hats. And I know feminine energy has the ability to move through putting on these archetype hats quicker and faster. Like they'll drop, like my wife, I think she's shown up as one thing, and halfway through the sentence, she shows up as something else just to, put me on my heels, maybe keep it fresh. I don't know. But I'm like, I don't know if she's coming or going. She's born on a cusp for any of you guys into that. And so she's the first day of summer. So that's Cancer and Gemini. So Gemini comes in 2 packages anyhow. So there are 3 women I wake up next to. I don't even know which one it is until I But my point is, if this is who you are, who is it you don't enjoy showing up as? Because that's how I think I heard you describe it. So I can help you better look at hiring the person to do the thing. So when you said run it or help build it, whatever language I think I heard you share, what's that archetype you're looking to bring into your world? Or maybe you use different languages. Maybe you use, visionary. Maybe you use implementer. Maybe you use integrator. Maybe you use different language. What's the type of person you need to be bringing on board?
I'm not sure. That's what I'm searching for.
Okay, great. So what is it you don't like to do would be your homework. Like literally when you're in your unique ability, just polarize it and draw a piece of paper down. And on one side, by the way, your past is to your left, your future is to the right. That's how people typically associate time in space. So you would write down where you want to be moving forward on the right. Then you get to go look at the left and say, okay, what did I have to do in order to run or build these companies, however you're framing it. So you can look at it and say, okay, it's time to delegate the power to a magician. Maybe it's time to find a master in there to drive, that hero. It's going to make things happen, an absolute warrior. Or maybe it's time to, find an everyday man. Someone just can connect with others and just, get along with everybody. And maybe that's your internal, driver, someone who's helping maintain a culture. But clarity is going to be power in the next best step, because when you stir the excitement of possibility through great books like this, we can get emotional, but that's in a different part of your brain. It's a mammalian. I may be articulating that incorrectly, but it's a where emotion lives. It's you're out of time and space there, Andy. But when you can come to the neofrontal cortex, this high level thinking, this is when you get clarity, then you can be precise and say, okay, this is where we're going. This is the type of person I need to hire. Right? Because often if you stay in the emotional component, here's what will happen. Have any of you guys just hired people or just like you because you're like, I want to hire people I can get along with? And if you guys ever do that one, and then you ever figure out there's like, why do I have two chefs in the kitchen? What the hell's going on? And you butt heads. No one, just Simone and I have done that. Okay, how about the other one? Did any of you guys ever hire someone up that's complete opposite as you, because then they could do everything that you don't like to do, and then you found yourself wondering, why am I ever getting business with someone who I have absolutely nothing in common with? Any of you guys ever do that one?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So a couple of you have done it in that way. So when we can do it with intention, clarity is going to set you free. So the homework assignment that could be really powerful is to get clarity around that. That's where great coaches and mentors in your space and your face and place can flush that out, not for you, but allow you to get there. And Jeff, glad you're listening in, mate. Just unmute. If we need a little background noise, you can always do a "Hey Ted" thing or a "Hey Rick" thing to do an intervention. Does anyone have any thoughts, insights, or shares you want to provide for Andy? Because a wise man can learn from anyone, a fool from no one. So if you're hearing where he wants to go and you understand, maybe you know him better than I do, and you can feel his intent. If you have some kind of distinction you want to share, just pull out a "Hey Ted" right now and let's do that. So you keep saying we. Yeah, who is that? Rick.
Rick, right here. So Andy, because I know a little bit more about your different businesses, if you're stuck on it, on what you need, I know exactly. I think I know what you're saying. Like, you're good at looking at the puzzle, putting the pieces together, showing how it needs to be, simplified so it's better, cheaper, right? All those good, faster. But have you asked the other members of your organization who they feel you need as well? Because if you're getting stuck on it.
Well, they're similar too. They're all back office, nose to the desk people too. So we all know we need a brand builder, somebody who can build a company and take it places we just through our careers never have.
There you go. How easy was that, Andy? You already said it. The brand builder, aka the visionary. Depends on if you're reading Gino Wickman's book or not. That visionary, that could be either an individual or it could be a group of people. Or you could create an establishment to where it's a group of people facilitating that act. So just know that adds a lot of clarity, because sometimes you think you need partners and you're giving up controls of your business to where, like, I'll give you an example, Andy. Steve Jobs, he was the, visionary guy, but he was limiting to the company. And so he hired a CEO, I think it was out of PepsiCo, came in and then fired him, said, "Hey, thanks, but you're more dysfunctional than you're worth. We're going to get you out." And then they were able to bring in great systems and they were able to provide structure. But when they needed enough innovation, when they needed a kick in the pants again, they went and recruited him back. But he was wise enough. He learned more and he institutionalized this innovation to where he could have teams of people facilitating it instead of an individual. So just watch the language, because sometimes if it's an individual, next you're giving up percentage ownership that was unnecessary. Could be departments. But without that intention, a bunch of subject matter experts aren't going to go create things that are outside of your bailiwick. It's outside of your zone of brilliance, your unique ability. It's not in your nature to want to do such a thing. So find those that know that road ahead. Have any of you guys ever institutionalized, instead of taking an individual, such as someone who gets shit done? That's what I call it, Andy, by the way. People like you that get things done, I call it get shit done. Other authors will call it things like an implementer or something like that. But have any of you guys ever institutionalized what small businesses consider like a mom and pop? You're the visionary, you're the get shit done person. But have any of you guys ever done it to where you have whole departments ran like that?
I do.
Okay, what department have you moved into that acts instead of an individual? It's an organization.
My whole law firm is that way because I'm a get shit done kind of person. And I had to learn when I started my firm to take everything that I did and put it into processes and systems. So the whole firm is kind of like my brain running. If I'm understanding what you're saying, all of my systems are based on the way I used to get shit done. And now I don't get shit done at all. But yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
do.
great. Now it's happening because of her price. So the first, it depends on the size of your company. It's very commonly from $0 to $3 million. When you're getting shit done, you make that happen. But then once you institutionalize your knowledge, meaning get your systems and your structure that's locked in between your two ears built into your systems. Now it's happening because of your presence, not because you took action, but because you took the time to get the insights out of your head into your systems. Now she doesn't have to make it happen on her own. It's happening without her, and that it can go through the next growth period. That's commonly that $3 to $5 to $10 million run on your race from 0 to 125 million. I understand some of you might be larger than that, but it seems like as a whole, this organization's small business. So, Simone, now that you've got the team running more without you, you're not having to get it done. What was the thing out of this book? What incited you the most out of 10X is easier than 2X that you know you want to move forward in taking action on?
There was so much. It's hard to narrow it down. I love the part about unique ability. It took me a very long time to kind of zero in on that. I needed some help from those around me. But
Great.
once I did that, it was wonderful. And I will say, probably my biggest takeaway is the entire time I was reading the book, and this goes to my unique ability, but the entire time I was reading the book, I kept thinking, how do I apply this to my team? And my unique ability, I've shortcutted it into I'm a potential finder. I can, I see potential and I'm able to pull it out. And that's kind of what I do in a book like that. I pull out of it what works for us. And I loved the last chapter, not the conclusion, simply because he's talking about doing the unique ability with everyone on your team. And so that's I mean, that's what I personally think my next step is to kind of go into that with my team. I think I have them with unique ability. What I have them all in is what they're good at, what I see them being good at, which may not be their unique ability.
Okay. Well, since you and I are unique, that we've spent 2.5 hours together, unlike where everyone else has not, do you have permission if I just go a little deeper and give a really specific thing for you then? Okay.
Of course.
So if you're just exploring your own unique ability, and then we're like, oh my gosh, that could be profound for me. And as a leader, the first thing you want to do is empower your team because that's in your nature, another one of your unique abilities, right? But maybe not your leading one. Well, what do your kids, meaning your employees, do? Do they do as you say, or do they do as you do?
Anymore, neither. But I think that they've been with me long enough that they do what I do, what I did. You know,
then it's time for you to double down on you being more of your unique ability. Have you ever you got old school training on Be Do Have by any chance, Simone?
I must not, because I don't know what
Be
you're talking
Do
about.
Have that I used to say it's old school, and then every time I mention it to someone, people look at me all funny, weird-eyed, not even knowing what I'm talking about. So do you know what I mean when I say Be Do Have?
I do not.
Okay. Does anyone here know what I'm talking about?
No.
Well, then I think I'm gonna have to pull out the whiteboard. All right.
I thought you were talking a foreign language.
Yeah, it seems like a foreign language, but here, I'll do old school. I'll just do an old school whiteboard kind of thing here to make life easy.
I love it.
So, me too. I love me some whiteboard. All right, so great. The road to pain is I need to have. Andy needs a new staff member, right? So if I don't have the staff member, then I have to get shit done myself. I don't want to do that in my stage. So that I have to have it. And then if I have whatever money, resources, whatever story you're telling yourself, then you'll be able to go do the things you need to do. And then I can go into action. And then someday I'll become what I need to become, right? This is the road of pain. This is where everyone says, oh, well, let me go here. Let me take the first quote I started with in the book and regurgitate it. When you choose freedom over security, then you embrace a life where you choose exactly what you want rather than vying for thinking what you need. This is that limiting belief structure saying, what do I need? Let's go see how do I need money? Do I need staff members? Okay, if I can go get them, then I can go do. But if you want to roadmap the success, instead, you flip the script on this. You go about this. 10x is easier than 2x. You take that same road, you just go about it differently. You first be the thing you need to be first. You start with this, right? So you start here. You're not irrelevant in this universe. You're not a drop in the ocean. You're the ocean represented in the drop. Father, Son, Holy Ghost, right? Right here. You start with the B right here. So what do you want to be? I want to be the leader, a leader that what? Stands in a unique ability. Why? Because I know as a leader, when I'm in my unique abilities, others around me will step into their unique abilities and we'll have 10x easier than 2x. Then you go do, be, do. Now you go do what this leader or whatever archetype you're choosing based on your current life cycle you need to do. Now I'm going to move towards action, but I started with my state of being. I will be the best golfer in the world. I don't know, whatever your thing is you love. Then I'm going to go do what the greatest golfers do in the world. And what do you do with the have? Let go, let God.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, seriously, like that's so downriver. That's so downriver. You're capable human beings. You will find the money, the staff, that's a tactic. But the strategist will eat the tactician's lunch every day of the week because they'll start with B. I don't have great lighting in here, but it's be, do, have. And later, if we ever get a chance to work together, I'll talk about how it really starts with intentions first. Here, you hold your intention, then you go to be, do, have. But if you're still stuck in I need to have, then go. I mean, that's why I was just trying to say, it's like, well, if I could just get my staff members to tap into the unique ability, then we as an organization could be more efficient. I'm like, well, they're not going to do it unless you do it first. So let them see what that looks like because it's new for you. It's going to be new for them. Let them get an opportunity to see in action unique ability so they know it's safe to then follow you. Because who goes first? Leaders go first. And you're their clear leader, right? By the way, I left you a couple of voicemails on 2 referral sources for you to get your authorship done. Yeah, one's pushed more on PR, the other one's on a different topic. Okay. So was that helpful by any chance?
What you just said?
Yeah.
Very. Thank you.
Okay. So if you're going to look out next week and you're going to reflect back and be able to report what changed, what would that look like for you? Do you already have a clear idea on that?
No, I don't, clearly.
If you can minimally consider being vulnerable enough, another virtue. So allow yourself to be courageous enough to be vulnerable to your team that you're expressing something unique, my unique ability. This is, typically, you all know me. I just step in and get shit done. And yet getting things done only gets me so far. But once I started doing this, like you tell your story, but you're telling your story with a purpose, not for significance of service. When you express it in that way, they go, oh, okay, great. So now it's safe for me to do that too. Right? By the way, is it helpful for anyone else but Simone? Are we finding any value listening to other people's personal hot seats? You guys are all quiet. You're either very polite or you're just a house full of stoic people here.
It's good stuff, Ted. Yeah.
Well, that's my hype
Definitely
man
helps
is going
me.
to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah, blessings to you. Yeah. So who's got a thought, a question, a comment, something you want to bring up? Let's tackle it. Who's that there? Got a finger up holding a cup of coffee.
Yeah, Ty. I
Ty.
just wanted to share mine because it's been bugging me, and now that I have you on here, I'll do it. Rick, here's enough of me. So this book has been really helpful with me. What's weird for me is that I kind of went into it already knowing my unique ability. I have some head trash around mine, and so a lot of times I just avoid it. So I know that my unique ability is communicating vision and sales. I'm good at it.
You've done a great job. I saw your YouTube video. I mean, I trained the world on educational based marketing, and you did that like a freaking champ. And I've never met you before, so yeah, I'd say that's absolutely correct assessment. Yeah.
Thank you. But I struggle because I have these voices in my head, whether they came from family or church or somewhere else, that say, I need to be a get shit done person, as a lot of people in here are, and I'm not that. And so a lot of times I back off from my unique ability. I know if I would just do that more, I would be more successful. I would get more of what I want.
Yeah.
But I spend a lot of time I don't need that, and so what I need to be is a get shit done person. And so
yeah, that's you're throwing me a softball. That's easy. I mean, if all you had was a really good business coach in your corner, in your space, in their face, in the place, they guide you through that pretty fast, which is simply you articulate it. So everyone already knows the answer to this. You already know it because you tell us it. So half of the time with your team, if you just shut up long enough, allow them to tell you what they're going through, they'll not just tell you the problems, they'll tell you how they should solve it. But as soon as they say how they should solve it, they then go blah, 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 and they talk about their BS. You know what BS is, right?
Mm.
Their belief systems. Yes, it might smell like something else, but it's their belief systems. Well, da, 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 da. So he's right, meaning you have a meaning towards a thing. There's a particular meaning that allows you to step on your unique ability and go play small because other people go, but then you'll be like me. Then you'll be good enough and you can be loved. These are all the oldest stories that are based in fear to humanity is I'm not enough and I won't be loved. Right? If you spend any time in psychology and understand why people don't do what they do, it's driven based on those two great fears. And you're right. We'll all play small just to make the person around us. But does that really serve based on your belief structure? Anybody for you to dim your light as an effort to make them look brighter? Based on your belief structure, Ty, is it ever serve for you to dim your light so someone can feel good about themselves in the moment?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay, but we'll still go against even some virtues like that because you have a meaning somewhere that was dictated by the things you regurgitated. So all you got to do is on your own time, like, this is what we do with our own clients is we send them home to write down, what's this belief? You take time to lean into it. In the military, it's called embrace the suck. Like you don't avoid that pain, that discomfort. You go and understand it. Know thyself, it'll set you free. And you start articulating with great details the belief structure that allows you to behave the way you've been behaving. So that's an old belief. Then that could be limiting you. Then you write down a new belief on what belief would you have to embrace to get you closer to where you want to be. And now you have two different points. Once you have two different points, you can build a game plan to go from here to here. But as long as it's vague and ambiguous, that's how the devil wins, right? Just ShamWow a situation, polish a turd and make it look well, but getting things done's good. Ty, I'm glad you got back in the saddle. You're like us, right? Now, you could get clear on what these two things are, this old belief and this new belief. And then now you get to choose it as you're moving forward. When things go up and someone says a thing and you're in a meeting and someone's like, yeah, and they try to get you in the weeds, like, how do they get you in there? Everyone's addicted to your ability to solve problems and react instead of being a communicator. How do they love to hook you to get you back in? What's their hooks in you? What do they do, Ty?
I don't know, just walk in my office and just bring me whatever they've got and just want to.
So you just let them walk right in the door.
Yeah.
Oh, you got martyrdom stamped in your forehead too? I mean, like, seriously, this is what we just do with our time. I just let everyone hijack my day and my time. No. Like, because there's a belief structure to it. I let people do that because what I'm focused on is not nearly as important as their urgent matters, right? Just the stupid things we've
That's
done.
something I think of all the time. Like, oh, what I'm doing is not as important as whatever their personal struggle is that they need my help with right now. Yeah, no, I do that all the time.
Yeah, I guess that's a beautiful expression of a codependent dysfunctional relationship. Because yeah, because have you ever looked at the virtue continuum? So
No.
a book written in the late 90s, I think. So like there was an example on the virtue continuum that talked about here, I'll pull it up on the screen and share it. You're a loving guy, so you go to express love. So let's look at love here. But if you take love and you put it into excess, what does it become? It's no longer a virtue. What are you doing?
Yeah, enablement. Yeah.
Enabling. Do you notice that when you go in excess of love and you do such a thing by not having standards, you're now really enabling them? But you lie to yourself and you said, but I was loving them. This is how we justify our codependent dysfunctional relationships. So it's either too little or too much of a virtue. Your path, if you want to be free, is by choosing your virtues. This is just, again, these are just common virtues. You know, no matter what belief system you have on the planet, who's going to disagree with respect and love? Right? So respect yourself enough to do that. So I've got fundamental training that I cover in how to stop God-a-minute meetings.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have God-a-minute meetings ruining their life? It comes in an email, it comes in a text, or someone knocking on a door. Any of you guys have struggles like that?
Once in a
Only
while.
3? Okay.
Once in a
Well,
while.
do you guys want a solution on that, or should we just save that for another day and a time?
Give us a solution.
Okay. Let's go through this hypothetical. Who's got like a watch or a phone that can time me how long this takes, so you can see if this is something you can do as well? Who can time me? Who's got a watch or a phone? Daxon, you pulling up a clock on me?
Yeah.
All right. If you can't do it, like a 3, 2, 1 countdown for me, so I know when to start and show you how long it takes.
3, 2, 1.
They walk in the door, right, Ty? Oh my gosh, Susan, that issue sounds important enough. It deserves our attention, but this is not the time nor place, because right now I'm focused on, getting some shit done. So why don't you, I trust you, Susan. Why don't you come up with 3 ways to solve that problem? Put that on our agenda. I have a weekly reoccurring mandatory meeting with the leadership team at Wednesday at 9:30. I don't know when your stuff is, Ty, making it up. So put that on the agenda. I'll put it right at the top and we'll knock it out of the park then. Daxton, how long did that take?
34 seconds.
Okay, 34 seconds. So let me just ask you and you already know what the answer is, but Ty, in that given situation, what happened to that problem between now and next Wednesday?
It gets solved.
Already got solved. Now,
right.
So if you're saying it got solved, you're telling me that people that come to you already have the capability called resourcefulness to solve it on their own, but you've conditioned them to have a dysfunction to come to you first. So you're a stopgap in the growth of your company based on a limiting belief. Now, by the way, who gets significant based on your current pattern? If you don't mind me going one step further, who's significant when they come to you and you solve it? Who gets the significance, you or your staff?
Well, I do, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah.
So now, because we all get something out of our addictions. So you get to start exploring what are those things that you get out of why you do something dysfunctional. Because you got a big S on your chest, right? Does that make sense? I'm a big super solver. No one can solve this but me, until you give it to Susan and she solves it on Wednesday. Now you could also ignore that, but do what Simone's done. Take it and every opportunity, classic Kaizen, every time you see something improve, lean into it to seek to understand it, to see if it should be an SOP. Hey, Susan, you busted into my room. You had this big to-do thing. And I said, come up with solutions. Oh, I solved it. I know, but what was it? It was this, and that, and that. Oh, okay, great. Now, Do you think other departments might need? Oh my gosh, everyone has this problem. I hear about it all the time. Every time your back's turned at lunch, we talk about it. Really? Okay. Well, then, Susan, would you be willing to present to the team next week? Think through this and share what you've done and how you resolved it to see if we should consider this as a company-wide change in our SOP so all the franchisees can adopt this improvement. Now, do you see how you're taking your zone of brilliance now by being the leader you need to be, right? And then you're giving the team the things to do that are going to allow them to function well. You don't have people running your company. You have your company ran by its systems. The people are facilitating the system called Kaizen, constant, never-ending incremental improvement. By the way, again, I just want to just check in, but insist on a little bit more feedback. This type of engagement, this interactivity, because I think there's a cultural thing in Oklahoma that I haven't picked up on yet about being polite and respectful. So if you can be a little bit more animated or auditorial, so I know if I'm on track or off track, because I'm from Chicago, I talk fast, I'm a little edgy, so I could use a little better communication. Is this helpful for everyone, or is it just hyper specific to only Ty?
No, it helps me a lot. Thank you.
Very helpful.
Very much so.
Helps you? Okay. All right, good. Thanks. It helps me understand if we're on track or off track, because this is what I call a hot seat. A hot seat's only valuable if it's hot. See, I have a hallucination that God gives us these gifts called challenges that in the moment we curse, but then later we look back at, or whatever it is you call greater than yourself, you look back on it and then you appreciate it. I ask, what's the most valuable thing, thing you're most proud of in your life? And everyone's going to want to talk about the moment they gave birth to their kids or, accomplished a particular task that was really impossible to overcome. Well, great. But it wasn't easy. But when you're in the middle of the stink, the hard stuff, you complain about it, but then later you're like, that was the best. Right. So when we start maturing, we earned a few grays. We get to lean into those moments. The military, because all the men were really young, they call it embrace the suck, like lean into it. There's great value. I see it as forging. You're forged in fire, and then you can temper that. That's how you change who you are molecularly to have stronger, sharper blades. Is you seek out this heat, you seek out the mallet, you seek out the quenching, right? And you go through that process, and that literally changes the molecular structure. Any of you guys into that Forged in Fire shows or anything like that where they make knives? The judge that's on that show is just a very dear friend of mine. So I know that's what I'm thinking is I've seen him literally use this hammer from Japan. It's, bam, 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 just make tons of knives. And it's a beautiful art form. 17th generation Yoshimita bladesmith, Murray Carter. So who's got a hey, Ted, yeah, but? Because once you start stirring pots like this, people's topics come up. You're like, hey, I know there's some things I'd like to resolve. Jeff, how about yourself?
So I mean, just to kind of pick right back up where Ty left off, sometimes those God minutes are like hot. And
you mean they're like the building's on fire if you don't address it now?
I mean, with what I do, with what we do, you'll have a client call in and they'll need an answer now. And
you mean, but it's a justified dysfunction. So I should probably stop everything for my client, right? So what you're trying to say is there's
exactly
another story I've not taken the time to hear you explain to me why you should be so emotional.
Yeah, I didn't follow that. What was that?
I know, because when you're in a trance, an altered state of consciousness, that's how we stay stuck in our old patterns.
All right, so that was my but what do I do? So my frontline person, they have a hot question. I'm in the middle of getting this done. And
what do I do? And what I'm going to say is, we want to start with what do you do? Because that's what you're probably pretty good at. You're pretty good at getting things done, right, Jeff?
I am.
Okay, but what do you need to be? What type of leader do you need to be to create an environment to where you don't have as many fires to be putting out that are legitimate because they're clients?
Well, so I know the right answer, right? I'm supposed to empower my frontline person to come up with 3 options and then present them to me right then?
I
Is
know
that-
I could do that, but what's your story?
Oh, what do you mean? What's the reason I don't do that?
Yeah.
I don't trust them. I know the answer,
Easy. Done.
all that.
All that. So there you have it. Now you know what you could be working on as a leader. How do I better hire people that I trust? How do I create a culture? So you want to hire and fire based on the culture you want to create, regardless of performance. This is about you expressing standards in your company. I think the easiest book that made it sophomorically understandable is Delivering Happiness from Tony Hsieh, if you're looking for another book to step into next. But my point is like that this is all resolved with a little coaching, a little guidance. Like, if you have someone who cares enough about you more than you care about your limiting beliefs, you'll get things done really fast. Right? Things can change really fast. So Rick and I are really compassionate towards people that are in pain because we've been in pain. You all don't understand. Like, any of you guys recognize, like, Rick's carrying the load on these sessions early in the morning. Like, sometimes you guys are so quiet, not responding. Like, he doesn't know what to do, but he just comes up with something brilliant. And you're like almost in awe. Like, how did he do that? Any of you guys have that sensation too?
Yes.
He's doing that because he too has been somewhere and he doesn't want to see you go there, right? That's compassion. So, okay, I want to serve. So what am I going to do? I want to rally people around. Why? Because he knows together we the people together will create freedoms for ourselves, and we will independently on our own, because that's what divisiveness is. If you guys ever read, it's the opposite of his book, Think and Grow Rich. He wrote Outwitting the Devil. Like, that's what they'll do. Like, right. It's, they polarize people against each other. Left, right, black, white, right, wrong. It doesn't matter. They just find a way to polarize it. And once you polarize it, you'll kill each other. This Christian group saying, you're not Christian like I'm Christian, so I'll go kill you. And then you can see England going over battles over their versions of Christianity. Not even different religion. There's a version, it is, right? And they'll kill each other over it. So you get to look at that and you get to decide, hey, do I want to have a mentor in my environment that can know the road ahead and speak possibilities of me being into me? Do I have a coach in my environment to give me feedback regularly on a weekly basis to hold me to a higher standard so my actions are in alignment to who I want to become? Because left to my own demise, I will get hijacked from my staff. I will let my top client that has 80% of all of my revenue come from that client hijack my day. Even though I know I should do it in this other way, I won't. And so Rick and I said, okay, what can we do? What's your zone of brilliance? What's mine? And his, you could tell, is getting people together. How many of you guys recognize, like, he's a really good connector. He creates environments for people, right? Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, me too. And then, okay, what's mine? All right, well, I love people embracing that suck. I love helping people find their breakthroughs. Because what's the distinction between those that know they can 10x easier than 2x is nothing but a limiting belief. It's nothing but a poor strategy, nothing but lack of execution and implementation. Half of you, if you would just take mediocre action on what you know you should be doing, would be better off than the person who procrastinates towards perfection. I'm telling you, my 25,000 clients I worked with, those that are just taking action on the stick-em notes and Excel spreadsheets outdoes the person who's perfectly mapping things out 80% of the time, because they have momentum. Now, if you've already had teams and you already have systems, they called it the PayPal Mafia. They go straight into super strategy without taking tactical action, without perfection. You can point to them, but they have something you might not have. They already have teams of people that already have those things behind you. So stop comparing yourself to people that have different things. They have billion-dollar resources you don't have access to. They already have relationships where they're bolting in infrastructure that you might not already have. Andy's got to go look for someone to help go run that. Whereas they already have been down that road through multiple companies. Do you guys know what I mean when I say PayPal Mafia? There's a group of investors that came out of PayPal, and every major wowish, jaw-dropping billion-dollar corporation that goes from zero to hero fast, there's small groups of people that came out of it. Elon Musk is one of them. Right? You guys notice he took Twitter, he called it X. X was the name of PayPal before that PayPal side of the team won the battle.
Wow.
Right? So things are just coming full circle. What do you think X is going to be? What he intended PayPal to be, which is being a new banking type systems, digital currency translations. And so, the platform is going to be that platform. So we said, okay, how can we help? Well, one thing I've done over 20 years is I realized first, as much as I love events and getting people together in a seminar, and in fact, how many of you guys have paid tens of thousands of dollars, gone to a seminar, and someone locked you in a room for like 5 days straight and you did nothing but work on your business? And if you guys do such an immersion type of event, Rick's done one. Anyone else? Okay, great. So if Rick's the only one that's done that, what event comes to your mind?
Well, not a 5-day immersion like what Tony Robbins or any of those do, but in Strategic Coach, getting around for a few days where it's just
What's he
working on the
so he
business.
does 3 days?
Tony? Or
No,
Strategic
yours
Coach?
that
Yeah.
you're talking about. Sure. I know what Tony does. He was my business partner. I helped him create it. That was 5 days. But I meant the Dan Sullivan. How long is his?
It's typically a 3-day venture working on the business.
Right. And so it's like, do you feel like I feel sometimes that could be like a fire hose? Like that's a lot to take in 3 days. Like you like, I think it was Simone said, it was like, what do you like the best? Well, there's a ton in the book that I could like. There's so many good things. Which one do you take action on? So I found after doing this, that there would be a lot of people running around excited because they've got a ton of new ideas they could take action on. And then I follow up with them in a business quarter. A year later, they're back at the event. They're equally as excited to be back at the event. And I ask them what happened. And more often than not, what happened?
Nothing.
Not a lot, or not a lot. Like one thing. And that one thing got them some big breakthroughs, and they got back into old bad habits, like what Jeffrey was saying, because the client called them a drama thing. And next, they're back in their old bad habits. So I said, okay, there's a time and a place for immersion, but that's not enough. What else do you need? Well, what if you could have someone giving you the mentorship on a regular basis? Now, how many of us have personal mentors in our life? Right? How far few in between is it that we get really good quality time? Right? It's great, but they're so distanced. Right? It's so far. I've partnered with some great names. Jay Abraham, if any of you guys are into super strategies and books. Rick mentioned Tony Robbins, him as a big personal growth guru. I judged him heavenly. I thought he was going to burn in hell because it was, my non-denominational Christian church leader here in Portland, Oregon said he does NLP, so he's going to burn in hell. Couldn't be further from the truth. Heart-centered guy doing $7 billion in business. So he's not Mr. Hype Man, which I thought he was. Mr. Motivator. He's doing $7 billion. I was like partnering with him at $34 million, thinking we were, the big swinging, guy around. No, that guy's got it. All these brilliant people, but even then, being in partnership with that guy, I'd get him really quality time once a year. We do a thing called Business Master. As soon as the event was done, we'd stay the next day and we'd have that day together. Otherwise, it was like flip it moments in between at events, but we're too busy doing business to really get quality time. So I realized if we had someone who could be there in your environment on a weekly basis, that allows you to get corrections sooner than waiting a year to get another correction. Does that make sense? Like if you're 10 degrees off on your way to flying to whatever destination, Mexico, and you're 10 degrees off, like Mexico's kind of big. You shouldn't be able to miss it. But the plane's constantly making corrections on a regular basis. But if you go 10 degrees off, 10 degrees off, 10 degrees, next you know, you're going back to where you started. So if you can have micro corrections, it gets you closer to where you want to be. But 10 degrees off doesn't feel like, let me say it this way. In a week, can you really tell 10 degrees? Just in a week's time. No, in a month, Maybe in a quarter you start recognizing it, but by the end of the year, if your rate of returns are off by 10%, you feel it in your EBITDA, don't you?
Yeah.
You have a compounding effect. So I said we need spaced repetition of time to have a mentor to be in your environment. But even then, that's much better, but not enough. What's another thing we need? Tools, assets, resources. How does Andy hire? How does he go to the market to make sure he can find a person or institutionalize an organization that can be go to do and the way you finally said it when Rick asked you, you nailed it. You said it in a particular way. You didn't use the word vision, but you basically said vision. I forgot what the thesaurus word was that you used, Andy.
Brand.
What was it?
Brand.
Brand? Okay.
Yeah. Build the brand.
How do you do that? So I created I was a part of learn.com, the online education platform back in the day. So the reason I was there is I'm from Chicago. Scottie Pippen was the financial guy behind that. They funded it. And I really wanted to be in partnership with, a guy that's got, more rings on his fingers than he's got fingers. Does it make sense? I was like, 6-time NBA, superstar. I'm like, let me partner with that guy. So, anyhow, at learn.com, we were streaming multimedia over dial-up modems, and we created these things called learning management systems, which you guys all laugh now, which just basically means a hyperlink with your username and passcode. You have access to content online that can empower you and your team. You need to have a place where your staff members can go and get the insights on. For Jeffrey, it's like they can go log in and learn how to run a better meeting, because he can try to dictate to everyone how they need to be more structured or a tie on how they present problems to them. But what happens if you empower your team to be more efficient with their time? They're going to be more likely to implement something that's going to serve them. In fact, if you shut up long enough and you let them help you create your SOPs, they'd have to be a hypocrite not to implement the ideas they helped come up with. So now we have a resource library of content for you and your team on demand. You can pull on. You have a mentor that could be in your space and face and place to know the road ahead. You have immersions with groups of like-minded individuals, so you can get that commonalities and me toos and just fulfill your heart bucket. But then, boy, how about someone holding your feet to the fire? A coach that could be in your space and your face and your place that you can get on with on a private one-on-one level and really ensure you're acting in alignment to the entrepreneur you want to be. And that's going to be different for each of you because each person's in a different life cycle in their business. And so that combination is the one that's had the greatest momentum development with the greatest degree of success. So Rick and I got together and said, okay, we love this group. We'd like to keep serving them. How can we best do that? Well, we came up with it. This is the model that we have. It's called the Business Mastery Transformation, meaning you may or may not have heard, Rick talk about the ways I work with clients, or if you guys ever looked at some of my YouTube stuff, you'll hear people talking about spending $36,000 of money they can't afford from Ron DeHaas. He had a small little $5 million firm, grew it to $35 million with a very profitable exit. And that was a guy that in his mid-60s, he just didn't want to work 70-hour work weeks anymore. And quickly, within 2 years, he was living, it didn't take 2 years, but at the 2-year mark when he got offered $15 million, when he said he'd sell it at $10 million for $10 million, we got him a $15 million offer 2 years later of working together. He goes, I'm only working 30 some odd hours a week based on choice. I only live in my zone of brilliance on a consistent basis. I've got a team I have faith in. He was ecstatic, but he didn't sell it at $15 million. We chose to make a more positive impact. If you guys aren't familiar with Covenant Eyes, it's an environment where you can protect your children and your grandkids, because the average age a child sees pornography thanks to these little smartphones. Anyone want to take a guess? Take a guess the age a child sees pornography on average.
9.
9 years old. And that data is 15 years old. The number's even getting shorter and smaller. The reason this matters is children, when they see it, they know it's not appropriate. So they don't bring it to mommy and daddy, and they hide in a closet and they seek to understand it. So Covenant Eyes mitigates that, as well as 60% of all divorces cite pornography usage, either in the husband or wife. So Covenant Eyes does that. So I love working with conscious entrepreneurs. That's fantastic. But for many of you guys, 36 grand a month to have your entire marketing, your branding, your sales, your systems put in place might not make sense to where you're at. So Rick said, okay, that's nice. You could offer that, but what's something less expensive that could be the next best way to serve them? And so that's what we created. The Business Mastery Transformation is to where you can get together virtually like this on Zoom every single week for a business quarter. That way we can take a topic at a time, give it its intention and focus that it deserves. So I don't have to juggle many different topics and many people's situations. Just take one at a time and tackle that for an hour. So I do that topic for an hour. Great. Everyone gets insights. Fantastic. It's done in an environment like this, same amount of number of people that are here today. And you're unmuted, so you can just say, hey, Ted, for clarity, if I slur or if I'm talking too fast and I had too much of this coffee is caffeinated. I'm telling you, I've been on decaf for a while, so I should have maybe done one scoop, not two. But that live training, it literally is live. You can just say, hey, Teds, I believe small groups is where it's really at. So I make them really small, but then I put in a hot seat for half an hour so we can get really honest about what's happening. You need a good solid half an hour to really think through and talk out the conundrums that are keeping you stuck. And it creates an environment, instead of saying, hey, this is a homework assignment you can do like we're doing here today. Instead, in that environment, every single week, we go through until a business intervention is facilitated. And what I found is you sometimes can learn as much from watching someone else's profound breakthroughs than you do yourself, because you don't have your own stuff there. Does that make sense, everybody? So it allows them to go, aha, and have their little moments. And so we do that with the hot seat afterwards. But then what do we include with that? So now you're getting mentorship. Now you're getting that consulting without having to pay 36 grand a month each week. But then we get a coach on the phone with you to guide you through personally and how to better implement and execute on these topics. And so we provide that coaching. Now, I know many of you guys have paid, $5 grand for coaching alone. I know many of you guys like Rick paying, I don't remember what Dan Sullivan's thing is. First year is 25K or something like that. Something like that. Right. You can maybe get that kind of stuff as low as 10 grand. Resource library, courses, all this stuff you can see up here. This was $5 grand. I had one that I once sold for $4 grand. Back when Jay Levinson was no longer put in it, the guy from Guerrilla Marketing. But what we've done is we've taken $20,000 worth of training, mentorship, and coaching and made it into one program called the Business Mastery Transformation. So for only $4,995, you can have us stay in your space and your face and place and go through this process. Rick's gone through this several times himself. There are a few people here that have already decided to go through it themselves, but that's gonna get you the outcomes you want in your business. But how about filling up the heart space? So Rick said, well, let me add my own personal attention to this. Let me go back to what I used to do. And some of you guys have been a part of it. Hey, Ty, do you remember back in the day when you guys were doing that? We call it For Freedom's Mastermind now, but do you remember how you guys would get together? Were you a part of that at all? Did you ever get together with Rick?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. Right. Now he's taken that and said, I like that. Let's give it more intention. Let's get a virtue, freedoms at the center of it and add some structure. So talk to us a little bit, Rick, about what you're doing with these live in-person things you're going to be doing monthly, because if you choose to invest in the Business Mastery Transformation with, by the way, if you're on a budget, I got payment plans for that. So anyone can afford it. But talk about the thing we're including with that, because you get that first month's attending for free when you do that. What's the event? What are you doing that you haven't done in years?
You bet. Well, since COVID, actually a little before COVID, we were doing these events on a monthly basis, spend a couple hours together and then just hit topics. And, I've been thinking a lot about this. Actually, I brought Daxton on, and Daxton is actually working with me on some content. We're developing the 4 Freedoms workbook. So on a personal level, we're going to dig into much more than just the business side of things. It's going to include, you know, the financials. It's going to include relationship stuff. You go through the 4 freedoms. We're going to dig deep. We're going to bring more of the who's to the game as well. And I've already been talking to some people who have signed on to participate. But really, and you hit on this, Ted, this is about fitness function, right? It's like you want what you want, and we've gotten through the mental part. You're putting the game plan. And the reason I wanted to get Ted involved is it's absolutely somebody that I've engaged on more than one occasion through the programs. But these are all designed to bring you together to go, look, I don't know if you need a fitness function daily, weekly, monthly, right? But a way to go, hey, what was that want? Where am I? How do I get back on course? And you guys that have been in these groups with me before, you realize, I think if you're honest with yourself, the best part of it is the part I like the most. It's the connections. It's community that was driven. You guys are still connected, and nobody knew each other when we started. And so for me, that's the magic, and that's what we're trying to bring back, but just with more content, so that we can be, for me, at the end of the day, is it creating value for you? Are you seeing results? And that's what we're trying to do with that, Ted.
What city is it going to be held at? How frequently? That kind of stuff.
Las Vegas, Nevada. No, I'm teasing. Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City, once a month. If we can, depending on the attendance, we'll probably do the Waterford Hotel. Those of you that are familiar, it's an easy way. We can get a breakfast in there, and reformat that like we've done before.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. And you might not know, but because he's one of our clients, Rick's time is the most valuable asset he has. So the things he's done before, he's not going to be doing again. So if you guys want access to him and get trained and coached by him, that price is going to be going up. Getting access to him, these events are going to be like $9.97 a month. But because you guys all pioneered through this process, and some of you, like Ty, has already done some degree of that live person thing, that's going to be $4.95. That's included. So if you choose, click that little link below. I put it in the chat. I don't know if you guys saw that. If you guys go through, on one thing you're not going to see on this, it says, hey, Ted's going to do 8 live sessions. I'll just tell you now, because Rick Sprelli already told you, I don't do 8, I over deliver. There's a little echo. I was just going to see if I can find that. I'm trying to find the echo on the screen to see if I can find it. Oh, all right. It seems to go away. Then the one-on-one coaching, there's 4 of those sessions that you can use on your time. The resource library you have access to for a year. What's not showing here, but you're just going to take our word on it, is we're going to include that $4.95 for you guys to get together for the very first month. So you can go through that and see if that's something you really love. Because if you've not had a chance to be with Rick in person, you only seen him through Zoomitis. I want you to have that experience. So that's going to be included in this. So, hey, so I'll just ask a couple people here. Ty, does this make sense? Would you like to have someone in your space, in your face and place, a coach to get a chance to work with you and get you on a Zoom on a weekly basis to guide you through such a thing?
Yeah, no, this is, I really like this. This makes a lot of sense. I appreciate this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then click the little link. You're there in person, so we'll have it sent to you. Get yourself registered. First I want to just congratulate you making a commitment to continue to build and strengthen your company. But thank you for even considering us to help you in that endeavor. This is, someone like you. I love it. Your education-based marketing thing, I just thought was fantastic. My late partner and I, we called it a core story. Is when you take your messaging and you can institutionalize it, aka a core story, to empower not just your staff, but even your end consumers to start sharing it. That's how you have a brand. That's how you can have a franchise that can take off like lightning in a bottle, is when you have a core story. People can regurgitate it, state it in an instant. They know what that is. It embodies everything that you're made of really fast. It's very powerful. So great visionaries that know how to communicate well serve brands brilliantly. So, and then on the other side, tactical stuff, you know, who's looking for more tactics, more business strategy and tactics stuff? Is anyone struggling with that a lot? A lot of business strategy and tactics? Yeah, Jeff. Yeah. So you've made, you know, it was EO, I think, is an organization you went to. We all, many of us have been part of that organization. We love it. You know, if it makes sense for you, I'll extend that invitation to you. If any of you guys need any assistance, know on the registration page, I didn't mention it, but there is a payment structure on there. So for any reason, cash flow situations, just go from this little radio button right here, click on 5 payments, and it's $1,100. If you guys need anything different, just let me know. I'm a heart-centered guy. If that's what I need to do to get creative, to have you come into my world, I'm happy to do such a thing. All I ask is don't forget that I did it and give me a video testimonial, because I have countless written testimonials. I don't know if you guys noticed, but written testimonials aren't worth much anymore unless you've got an iPhone and a little selfie video. Like, people don't care. So if you're willing to grab your iPhone, I'd love to help you break through all the challenges you have and grow your company a little quicker, faster, and easier, just to get you on an iPhone telling me what's been great. In fact, by the way, Rick, I'd love to grab that from you, because you know, I need those. I just printed my very first copy of my book. I got my very first printing of it. You can see it says not for resale. So I have people I want to make famous and put inside the book. So you're one of them. So Rick, let's make sure I get that video. In fact, I need to get the one that you're going to allow me to run ads. I'd love to have my ads not be about me, but about you. I'd love to have your face in my ads. I know that might be confrontational, but I'm saying it in front of a bunch of your colleagues that might hold you but accountable to send me the video. we talked about this before, so I'm using public, you know, I don't know. But who's got any heat type questions on this? We talked about ways to help even further, which is business mastery transformations. One option, it's $4,095. But if you don't need coaching, you don't want mentorship for any reason, maybe you just, if that's not your thing, that's fine. You can absolutely, Rick is going to extend that $495 pricing as pioneers in this program. Just don't tell everyone, because if he raises it to $997, he doesn't want to have everyone get upset. You know, he hasn't had to use Daxon to set up a bunch of fancy registration page. He hasn't had salespeople having to pick up the phone and sell these attendants. So that's how he can justify giving you guys that best pricing, is right now it's in its soft, you know, early stages, and allows it to be cheap. So who would love to get together weekly? If monthly. Is it monthly? You get together every single month. And what was the hotel thing again? You mentioned hotel.
So it's going to be at the Waterford. What do we call it now? The Renaissance. I don't know the name of it, but because I think they changed names. But I will get that information. Just email me, those of you that aren't familiar with it. But Ted, to your point, Daxon is going to be, you know, we're giving you guys like first shot at this, and we are giving you a discounted price. But Daxon's here all day today with one intent, and that is to build out the marketing as we expand it out. And it isn't going to be at that price level. I'll just tell you that. But again, it's with you in mind. I think you guys know me. You know that's important to me. I want to be valuable. I think we've got a history of this being successful, and now we're looking at ways to make it even better, more impactful as we come through here. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I think it's going to be an opportunity to continue and not lose this momentum that we have here today. And I think that's a big important part of it, is how do we continue this on.
But Ted, I owe you a video, and I will get you a video. But I will tell you guys, if you haven't, like, Ted's the guy that got me out of a rough spot, you know, personally, and we've all been through those rough spots, and it's the reason that I have, you know, I trust Ted. I've worked with him a couple different times for my own business, and it's paid huge dividends. And so that's why, you know, I wanted to partner with Ted on this, to give you guys the opportunity to see what that looks like one-on-one, if you need more of that, because a lot of times we need more than just coming together once a month, and Ted's the guy.
Hey, by the way, who's down to stay with Rick and get together once a month? Any of you guys interested in doing such a thing? You guys like this environment? Yeah. All right. Make
Yeah.
so what minimally they all need to reach out to whom? What they just email you, Rick, personally? What's the process?
They can call me, they can email me, just let us know you're interested in that monthly gathering, and we'll get you out the details on that.
Yeah, beautiful. And if you register for the Business Mastery Transformation, you're already going to be enrolled. You're going to be get the guaranteed VIPs set up on that, so you're going to be treated well and served properly on that one. But we have some time. Do any of you guys got any Hey Ted type questions? Jeff,
I just have
see.
a question about what
Yep.
you guys are offering, because it sounds like there's two different things going on. I might be confused, but it sounds
That's
like
correct.
there is two different things going on.
There is two. So it's basically this Business Mastery Transformation consists of this
Yeah.
plus his monthly.
Mm-hmm.
That is included one time. His next month fees of $495 is when you do this, you get that first month, and then you can decide if you want to stay in his monthly program. So he's charging $495 a month, right?
That's right.
So he's doing that $495 a month. That's us. So that's, you could do just $495 a month and get together once a month. Or if you do the Business Mastery Transformation, you go through all of your one-on-one coaching. You get me for a business quarter. You get the resource library for a year, and you get your first month for free in his Freedom for Freedoms Mastermind.
Got it.
Yeah. So the first
And
month
Ted,
is included.
This Marilyn, your $49.95 is for what? Is that monthly, yearly? What is that?
Yeah. So I get together every single week for an hour to provide the training every single week. Now it says 8 contractual I'm committed to. I do more. Marilyn, I do 12. So I'll just tell you now. But normally I want to be wanting to tell everyone because it upstages my gifting. You always got to under promise and over deliver in business. So that's a full business quarter we get together. And then we'll cover one topic. This I'm covering this week. I'm covering leadership and training. So we'll spend an hour on that topic. And then great, when that's done, we can go into hot seats for a half an hour. So you're in Central Time Zone, right, Marilyn?
Correct.
Because I know we had some people from Orlando. So that would be from 9 to 10 is training. From 10 to 10:30 is the hot seat. And then from 10:30 to 11 on your own, you should be contemplating, delegating, moving into action based on what you picked up. Then you get 4 one-on-one coaching sessions. So a coach, get on the phone with them every single week for a business quarter to build momentum. But if you're very disciplined, if you're hyper disciplined, you can meet every other week. But don't spread those coaching sessions out like every 3 weeks. You won't even remember what you covered. Don't do that. So that means you're going to be getting with your coach for a month consistently, or if you're doing every other week, it'd be 2 months. And then the resource library, all my sessions I record, all the tools and such as like recruiting. So here's a suggested advertisement for your recruiting. Here's a process to pre-screen your talent. That's all in one learning management system, which just means hyperlink with the username and passcode, Marilyn, for you and your team to resource. Yep. And that's all included for $495. The bonus that I'm doing only because of my relationship with Rick is he's gifted his $495 into this purchase. There is no additional fee for that first month. That way we can guarantee when you do the Business Mastery Transformation, you're able to be a part of Rick's For Freedoms Mastermind. And then you can make a decision if that's something you'd like to continue. Was that helpful, Marilyn?
Yes. And one more question. The $49.95 is per quarter, correct?
No, one time. So I know it's freakishly inexpensive. Like, it's crazy inexpensive how much everyone's paying for other programs. They think that's monthly. They think that's quarterly. This is a one time and includes all that. Yeah, I did that intentionally. It's just for me because I've been working with other brands. You might know Forbes better than you know me. You might know Tony Robbins better than you know me. Jay Abraham better than you know me. Even the late, great Chet Holmes, who passed away, 11 years ago, his name more than you know mine. So as I'm now coming out with my books and I'm that face of the brand, I'm now intentionally lowering my price as just a one way to guarantee I can get into people's world and have great experiences. so I can build that brand up. And I do it in small groups with a high degree of intimacy with profound outcomes. So that's why I'm doing it freakishly inexpensive.
I love your adjectives.
Well, that is great. Not everyone does. Like, I let everyone know, like, if this package, you don't like that package, you know, don't commit to going further, because I don't pander. I call it the candy ass society. I don't cater to that. There's virtues. We know what they are. I don't waste any time. We speak to them, and let's move us back on track to what's going to best serve us, serve our clients, and serve the greater good. But this package isn't for everyone. There are a lot of people that are better speakers than me. They sound brilliant. They sound like that pastor, and they articulate and use 25-cent words. That's just not me, and you should know it. All my staff members are smarter than me. I got a couple, doctors in there crushing it. They got like Stanford and, Yale at the end of their names. Not me. I dropped out of Purdue University for electrical engineering to become an entrepreneur. Now, Simone, we've had a chance to speak about this before. I don't know if this is something that makes sense for you now or not, but we're visiting it now. Is this something that makes sense for us to allow us to guide you through this process so you can get your team to step into its zone of brilliance and allow you to continue towards your development of your brand as you're writing books and going out to the world?
Yes.
Is this something that might make sense for you?
Well, I think I've told you I'm already a part of a program.
Oh, that's
but
right.
My coach is a cheerleader, and I don't need a cheerleader. So I'm thinking very seriously, Ted.
Yeah.
Very
Okay.
seriously. Thank you.
I do remember you saying that now. Sorry for putting you on the spot on that one.
No, it's okay.
And I don't want you to publicly hang. We all have coaches, and there's a time and a place for a cheerleader.
I'm past that though.
Yeah. Well, then our coaches are fantastic. I've got a great bench of brilliant people to pull from. And I'd love to have you be someone I get to make famous in my book. I say famous, but if you've ever read The Ultimate Sales Machine, you heard us talk about our clients like crazy. That's what I mean. I want to have all my book full of stories of entrepreneurs that are really brilliant like you, capable.
Well, I definitely, I think that for anyone who's considering it, just getting that time with you because of the way you pay attention. And you guys who don't know, he's texted me, talked to me a couple of different times, just offering me stuff to help me. He's just done it from his heart, and I appreciate that a lot. And so the opportunity to work with you weekly is part of what, those workshops you're talking about. That is very alluring to me. So I'm thinking hard about it.
Good. Well, follow your instincts, whatever that is, right? If you're drawn to do it. I like the one where I say I like it because it serves me well when it's like on the line of fear and excitement, because they're highly motivated usually to get out of a jam. And then I look like a rock star. They give me way too much credit for doing things. They did all the work. I did very little. I just pointed just a faster way around this obstacle that they thought was immense. And it's not really the case. Rick did that today to me. And I'm like, I want to blush a little. I'm like, because Rick did that. Like, I didn't do that. Rick went through that. I just happened to be there for him when he was on his knee, because I'm willing to take a knee next to him, and we got up together and kicked butt. Mark, do you got any particular questions here? Any questions about either this program or Rick's monthly for Freedom's Mastermind?
It's all good, all good. I'm definitely interested in Rick's events coming up, and this has been insightful today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you. Bob, I noticed in your screen, you got the screensaver thing. Camera might not be appropriate now, but if it's safe for you to say, hey, Ted, or hey, Rick, and ask any questions. Bob, do you got anything specific you want to ask or comment? Or there you go.
But I do want to say thank you for all of the time you've spent, as well as Rick. And had to put my screensaver on there for a minute so you wouldn't see me picking my nose. But no. But anyway, thank you for everything. And
thanks, Bob.
Good to meet you.
How do you say no to Rick? He's got such, he's just lovely. Like, he's an easygoing guy. Like, he creates really good environments.
Yes.
I would be there side by side with you all if I was in Oklahoma. I love you, but not enough to want to hop on a plane once a month to get together. That'll have to be with my local group here. How about the coffee shop? Not the shop, but the coffee team there. I know it looked like your husband had the baby is that your husband or is it just a colleague holding your baby?
That was my husband. Yeah,
Okay.
we had to go into the shop. But I'm feeling really good about it. I'm new to all of this, so it's like a whole bunch of resources are just being thrown at me right now, and I love it. I'm really excited about it, but I will have to talk to my husband and just kind of like sort through them and see what will work good with us and everything. But I am so thankful for, you know, meeting once a week with you guys and getting to hear your stories and everything, and you coming on and talking, getting us all hyped up. It's been fun.
Yeah. If we can't get hyped up, if we can't get fired up, but today was Boston. Like that's something you need daily, like a shower. If you can't give yourself a kick in the pants, like, you know, we're not victims. We shouldn't be waiting for someone else or something else outside of us to come along and give us a boost. So we want to be able to have an environment where that can be done every single week. So that's what we're doing here with the Business Mastery Transformation and the Four Freedoms Mastermind. By the way, my coffee cup, you know, you're just talking about the serendipitous nature from which, you know, freedom fighters are floating around. So, you know, anyhow, that was my coffee cup, drinking this thing here today. You don't own this brand, do you? Onyx is a completely different company, right?
Yeah, we signed with them before we opened about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And they've been an awesome company to work with. It's cool to see them grow and be a long part of that.
Yeah, well, you got a good thing. Hey, Rick, because there might be people that aren't going to do your monthly. I doubt that, but there might be. Any closing statements and comments you want to make for a group that's committed a month of their life, or a couple months of their life to get together and, you know, go through a great book on how to work a little faster, smarter, and easier?
Well, you know, I'm going to go back to the first comment I made when I reached out on this book. Like, I had no agenda. I just was overwhelmed with this feeling and this sense of, hey, I think this may resonate with others. And so I reached out to you guys and I said, let's do this. And the reality is, if you go back, not only, and you think about the attendance that we've had through this is 7 weeks, right? And it's been a lot of work. I'm not going to discount this. This has put a lot of stress on my system. Because I wanted to deliver something valuable each and every week, have you guys show up, and I wanted to be impactful. But it got me thinking, and this got Ted and I thinking, it got Dax and me sitting down and thinking, like, where do we take this? And so, you know, the two things that I would try to just ask you for is, if you're on the fence, give consideration and think about it from this perspective. You know, Warren Buffett says you should take a percentage of what you make every year and reinvest in your education, in yourself, whether that's leadership or, you know. And I've always liked I'm not a coach. I'm not interested in being a coach. I like facilitating. I like helping. You got Ted here, who's a coach. So if you're on the fence, think about, like, what would your return have to be over the next 90 days, 6 months, a year for that small investment, right? And really, it's only one. I think about it. I got to turn 1/8 of a screw to have a massive impact. And you would look back and go, you'd laugh about, you know, the 25,000 I spent as strategic coach, I've more than made up multiple times. And so we've got to invest in ourselves. But I'd ask you this: if you're on the fence, consider it. Take, you know, it's, what are the 4 C's, right? You got to have courage, you got to have commitment, right? Like, all those things, so that you can get yourself to confidence. That's what we're offering. The other thing that I would ask is, if you know people, you know, I just say this: there are people in our community, not everybody got on the call today, or they had to get off early or whatever, but share with your friends. You let them know if they're interested in these programs. And I initially thought, well, I'm not going to put this one out, but I'm going to record this. I've recorded this. I'm going to put it out there. Share it with those people that you think, hey, maybe they want to be a part of one or both of these programs. If you introduce them and you say, hey, Rick and Ted, you know, we'll honor the same price point, but that's not what we're going to do with our outside marketing as we try to get this group together. So, you know, I can think, Bob, I'm thinking of somebody that we both know, and I'm thinking, you know what, this person definitely needs to be a part of something like this. And so if you think about somebody like that, that's the other ask, is just include them, reach out to them, and let us know. Let's build a nice community to help us get through not just the next 6 months, 12 months, the next couple of years towards that 10X. and
Yeah.
towards doing why we all signed up for this in the first place.
Yeah.
To be
Said well.
entrepreneurs, not the program.
Said well, I guess I failed to identify. I put guarantees on that stuff. So
Yeah.
I should have put that up on the screen. It's on the order form. 90% of every penny you spend at the end of your 4th coaching session, if it wasn't awesome, tell us to go pound sand. We'll get you back 90%. So should have said it. Failed to. Thank you very much, Rick. Blessings to you all. Thank you for having me a part of this. It looks like we're at the top of the hour. Is this the sign-off point?
Yes. Thank you, Ted. We appreciate you guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you,
Blessings.
Rick, for doing this.
Thank you,
You
Rick.
bet.
Blessings.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Take care.